I honestly believe Mientkiewicz is the player referenced in that baseball card. He was the only notable Royals injury during the week leading up to the deadline, plus he happened to play a position of need for the Yankees. Earlier in the month, the Royals saw injuries to Reggie Sanders and Scott Ellerton, but I do not believe either was a part of the trade. Reggie would soon be back, August 1st to be exact. Well, you'll never believe what I learned today. So I'm putting together a new video and found myself going down a rabbit hole. While in that rabbit hole, I found this article from right before the 2008 trade deadline, 2 years after the original trade mentioned in that prior video. The Yankees had just lost Chin-Min Wong to a long-term injury and desperately needed a starting pitcher. They previously made an intriguing offer for Zack Greinke that included Melky and Robinson Cano, but the Royals would not trade Greinke. Good call, as he would win the Cy Young the next season. Trade talks with the Mariners centered around Jared Washburn stalled out, so the Yankees turned to Brian Bannister, again dangling Melky Cabrera. Bannister finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting less than a year prior, so I understand being hesitant to trade him, but the rotation seems secure with the aforementioned Greinke, Gil Mesh, and Kyle Davies all looking solid, and former first overall pick Luke Hochevar getting a chance to prove his worth. The offense, on the other hand, was giving near everyday at-bats to Joey Gathright and Ross Glode and playing Mark Teahen out of position. On defense alone, Teahen was worth negative 2.4 WAR for the 2008 season despite a positive offensive WAR. This trade would have allowed Teahen to play a more natural position and give the Royals a young hitter with upside to lengthen the lineup. Yes, Melky was in the middle of a down year, but so was Bannister. At least Melky was 4 years younger. Now, Melky alone does not fix the 2009 team, especially the bullpen. However, his presence may prevent the Royals from trading two solid young relievers, Ramon Ramirez and Leo Nunez, for two different bats. At the very least, I hope it would have avoided the Mike Jacobs era in Kansas City. No, the Royals did not have a ready replacement for Bannister at the time, but they did bring in Bruce Chin for the 2009 season. Maybe he gets more of a chance before his 2010 breakout. Now that's all great, but it's not the primary reason for this video. In that same article, the Kansas City Star's Bob Dutton leaves this tiny nugget, and I quote, "The Royals nearly obtained Cabrera in a trade deadline swap 2 years ago for veteran outfielder Reggie Sanders before Sanders suffered an injury." What kicked off my motivation for creating the first video, and even this channel itself, was a baseball card from Melky's first Royal stint that mentioned the Royals almost got him at the 2006 deadline, but an injury prevented the deal from happening. I tried searching for answers and, at the time, could not find one. After researching team needs, injuries during the Royal season, and a prior proposal involving Melky, I concluded that first baseman Doug Mientkiewicz was the player, and I had a few reasons for that. First, the Yankees had a genuine need of first base. Jason Giambi was not cutting it defensively, and he needed to be moved back to DH sooner than later. The Yankees did have a couple injuries in the outfield, but the replacements, Melky included, were playing well. Those injured players were close to returning, if not back already, so I can understand trading Melky, but trading him for a different outfielder made no sense to me. Yes, the Yankees did trade for Bobby Abreu during this time, which told me they wanted an outfielder anyways, but the only major leaguer in that trade was a reliever. The rest were prospects. I can understand trading Melky and Moore for a more established outfielder like Abreu, but Reggie Sanders seemed like a massive downgrade. Melky was only 21 at the time while Sanders was 38, and Melky was playing much better. Second, Mientkiewicz got hurt on July 25th and would miss the rest of the season. Sanders got hurt on July 15th, but would come back on August 1st. From that perspective, Doug just made more sense, and I figured that if the Yankees really wanted Sanders, the two teams could have worked something out considering he would be back at the very beginning of August. Third, the Yankees made an offer earlier in July that would have sent Melky to the Pirates for first baseman Craig Wilson and outfielder Jeremy Burnitz. They later acquired Wilson in a smaller trade. This, again, pointed towards Mientkiewicz. It did make me wonder if a second player would have gone to the Yankees, possibly an outfielder, though I mentioned Emil Brown instead of Sanders, who was playing better and, in my eyes, seemed like the preferred option of the two. Fourth, the Yankees signed Mientkiewicz a few months later and used him as a defensive alternative at first base for the 2007 season. It seemed like too much of a coincidence, and considering all the other signs, I figured the interest may have started a little earlier. Now, I know that the actual trade was Reggie Sanders for Melky Cabrera, and it appears to have been a one-for-one swap. Why would the Yankees do this? I did not mention this earlier, but Sanders was under contract for the 2007 season for $5 million, which put his trade value in the negative. Yes, during this time, the Yankees were burning almost as much money as the Dodgers are today, and I'm sure $5 million was not a big deal for them, but it still gave them all their leverage in the trade, not the Royals. In fact, they probably could have asked for Doug as well, and it still would have been a good trade for the Royals. This was Dayton Moore's first trade deadline, and the headlines would have portrayed him as that new guy that took advantage of Brian Cashman. It seemed like a desperation move from a team that had no reason to make one. Regardless, I was wrong. I roll with what made sense when the answer is buried deep behind Wayback Machine this entire time, which I use quite a bit for these videos. Love it. Here's a bonus trade rumor I found on there previously. Zach Greinke for Braves outfielder Jeff Francoeur. Like Melky, Francoeur would also sign with the Royals before the 2011 season. I believe this specifically was after the 2008 season, right before Greinke's Cy Young campaign. Good call to stick with him. If you want to see more details on the Melky Cabrera trade that never happened, including what the Royals may have looked like with Melky, and even why the Yankees may have been motivated to move Melky specifically, then check out the first video. I'll include a link in the description. Just keep in mind that I was wrong about Doug. I'll give you a hint on the next video. I may or may not have name dropped the subject during this video, and no, it's not Brian Bannister. Until next time.
Melky Cabrera, deep to right field, and just like that, the Royals regain the lead. Right to a guy holding a sign that says the Milkman delivers.
No way. Way to go.